Okay, we are back from a restart, and we have successfully installed SQL Server. We successfully installed the SQL Server Management Studio, and now we're moving on to the next set of instructions here, which is actually to connect to SQL Server using the SQL Server Management Studio. And we have a little tip here that you should go to your Start menu, and if you want to pull that product up, you can type the acronym SSMS and it should pull it up. But I can see here that it has it right up at the top, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on it, and that will bring up the tool that we need. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that and let it launch. I'm just waiting for it to come up on screen, and there's the splash screen. And as that splash screen is loading, I'm going to scroll down to the next page here. This is first run for the product. It's not a small product, so just please be patient. Makes Microsoft Word look like it's very efficient in terms of load time. You can see the instruction set was on version 17. This is version 18. Excuse me. All right, now the product is loading up. And one thing that's really kind of fascinating about this product, and those of you that have been working with any Microsoft development tools for a long period of time might even recognize the look and feel of this product, because really it is really kind of a customized version of Visual Studio in essence. Is really all it is. And what I think that is fascinating about that is it actually kind of looks like an older version of Visual Studio. But it has a lot of those same kind of like Microsoft-y kind of feels to some of the screens and stuff. I'm going to bring up the instruction set again because this is where it gets a little bit more particular. The first thing that we have to do is we have to make sure that we connect to the right server. So if you had multiple instances of SQL Server running on the same machine, you would actually have more than one to choose from here. So for example, the server type, well, we're going to use the database engine. We're not going to do any reporting or analysis services. But if we were maybe data analytics students and we were doing analysis on a high level, we might be using some of those tools, which explains why I installed it, by the way. But we are using just the standard database engine. The server that we're connecting to is our local server, and that's the name of my local machine. So whatever you've named your machine, that's what's going to pop up on that list. It might be something like Dell Preferred Customer or something like that, depending on what brand of computer you have. Where that server name comes from is from the machine name that you have. Let me show you how to find that. If you bring up a file folder anywhere on your machine and you do a right click on this PC, this is Windows 10, mind you. Older versions would have a different name here. Your computer name will be listed right here, and that's the name that it's going to bring up. So whatever that is, it could be some cryptic number, like I know that if you buy a Dell, it says Dell Preferred Customer, or if you buy like an HP, it might have like a model number or something weird in there. I'm actually going to pause this for a second and just come around and take a look at everybody's. All right, for some of you, your machine name will pop up in that list, and for some of you it might not. And what I was showing to the class here is if you bring up a File Explorer window and right click on this PC and choose Properties, it will bring up this screen here where it will show your full computer name, and ideally that would be populated directly into this screen. But if you notice on the instruction set that Christian has here for us, he does make this note. And notice it says, if you don't see the server name listed. Okay, don't panic, right? It's there somehow. But you should go ahead and choose Browse for More, and then from there, hopefully, you will find this local server. And I want you to notice that it comes up as the machine name, but then also as the server instance as well. So it might actually be wise to choose Browse for More anyhow. You see the whole little conundrum here. So I'm going to actually do that both to kind of demonstrate it and just to show you that interface. And I'm going to bring up the database engine, and you can see mine is just listed there. If you flip back to the instruction set, he's actually got the named instance here. And the reason he's got two is if you go back in his instructions, he had 2 installs of SQL Server running on his machine simultaneously. I only have 1, and that's why it just lists real simply on my machine. So I'm basically choosing the same thing it already chose for me. Can I ask, is everybody okay with that now here in class? Everybody's good. Fantastic. All right, next step. They do want you also to leave that last box set for Windows authentication. All right, and it says select your authentication mode. If you have selected it during the install process, select this option. That is what we chose. Is what you should have chose. If you chose instead to do the mixed mode where you created a super administrator account, you would prefer to log in with that account. Since we chose Windows authentication, it's basically not necessary, and then I want you to make sure that you go ahead and just click connect. It'll take a moment, but if it loads up, and mine just did, so you saw on the left-hand side there, part of our window is what we call the Object Explorer, and we see that things did load up, and there's databases, and it lists the server name, and you can actually expand this panel a little bit if you wish. And then here's where you can actually start to explore, and this is where it gets kind of interesting, folks. I'm just going to click around a little bit, and I'm going to show you that there's some system databases in here. And we really haven't created any stuff in here, but this is where all your things are going to be. And since we're going to be creating databases, your databases will all be found under this structure. Now, this is not a folder structure. You guys got to keep that in mind. It says very clearly this is an object explorer, so it explores a hierarchy of objects within a database. It is not files and folders, not at all. It's not how the database works. All right, I'm going to pause for a sec. Now that is basically all we need to do in terms of that set of instructions. But now I am going to bop back over to the course shell, and somewhere here, and of course I'm not even logged in. So let me take care of that issue. Let me get logged in, unless I already am. Let's see. We'll find out in a moment. And what I'm doing is I'm going back to that original assignment instruction set. And I'm making sure I've crossed all my T's and dotted all my I's. All right, so we completed step 1. All right, yeah, thank you very much. The next step is to actually download and set up the AdventureWorks database, and that's what we're going to do next. Now, we are at 20 after 7 already, so we've actually burned almost the whole class period doing this. But that's okay, as long as we're all on the same page. I'm going to pull down the next instruction set. I'm going to do a right-click, open a new tab again. And now we're going to grab the AdventureWorks database that we will add to SQL Server so that we have a tool to work with. Let me do a really quick explanation of what we're about to do, because I think this is helpful to know. Before I'm blindly steering you, and that is we can learn databases by building stuff completely from scratch. Okay, so in other words, we can build all the content, we can build the tables, the relationships, all the structures. We can type in all the data manually if we wish to learn certain concepts. But they've been working on this this database called AdventureWorks, and it's been around for a long time. And every time they upgrade SQL Server, shortly thereafter, they usually upgrade this as well. And what it is it's a pre-built database with a whole bunch of data in it and a whole bunch of structure in it that we can use to do exercises without having to go through the laborious process of building it. Okay? And it's not really that difficult to work with, so what we are going to do now, and I want to make you aware of this also, is attached to this assignment description, there are 3 files with different version numbers on them. And of course, I have a 2014, 12, and 16. We want to grab the newest ones. If you did the 2017 install, we want to grab this particular file. So just click that link in the core shell, and it's going to download the database to your local machine. That's going to go into your downloads folder by default. And you know what, that's fine that it just throws it there. Now we're going to go into SQL Server Management Studio and pull that database in. If you notice the file extension on this, it's a .bak. Do you guys know what that stands for? It's a backup file, right? So it's a backup of a database, and what we're going to do is we're going to go into SQL Server Management Studio and restore from a backup, and we'll have a whole database dropped right into our product. Right? I am going to have those instructions on the side of the screen there as I work, wherever the heck I just put them. Here I suppose, somewhere. Here it is. Nope, here it is. Just a little sluggish, it seems. All right, and let's come out of full screen mode here and just move it off to the side as much as we can. All right, so back in SQL Server Management Studio, we're going to right-click, and if you notice the instructions, and I don't know if I can do this, truly make these side by side here. Let's just give that a shot, at least. There's actually a shortcut key for that. I'll show you guys that sometime. All right, so he's right-clicking on the database node of the Object Explorer, not the tip top, but the second item down, the databases thing. And we are going to choose Restore Database. And that's going to bring up a dialog box for us that looks very much like this. And I'm going to scroll down in his instruction set. All right. He wants us to select device, okay, because we got to go looking for this thing. Click the what we call the ellipsis, the triple dots. We're going to choose Add from the list. You guys let me know if I'm going too fast. All right. Should I backtrack? Yeah, so the step is right-click databases, restore database, choose device, choose the ellipsis, ... and then we're going to click Add. All right. From there, we are going to go ahead and do a couple of things. So you follow the instructions he's got here, I think are pretty handy. So on the right-hand side, he wants us to go all the way to the root of C. And see, this is because of where he probably told people to download that to. But where did I tell you guys? I just let it download, right? Mm-hmm. So where is it? It's in my downloads folder. So here's the beautiful part of that. Is it's not quite as easy to get there. But you'll have to go actually to your users folder on Windows, find your user account. Mine just happens to be the same as my first name, but it depends on how you have your machine set up. Once I go into that, yeah, it's looking for just files of that type and it's not finding them. All right, so I thought here it would bring up my standard system interfaces, which includes downloads, and all that stuff that you normally see in your file window, but you can see that it's not doing that, correct? So here's what I'm going to do. First thing I do is not panic. I know it's kind of like a tendency, and I get it, because I've been there as a student. So there's no instructions on this, help, right? So I'm going to go to my downloads folder. I'm going to open that up. Here's the AdventureWorks file, see it? I'm just going to do a right-click copy, and then I'm going to do exactly what Christian did. I'm going to go to the root of my C drive. I'm just going to paste it into the root of my C drive. That's kind of weird, right? But you know, really easy to find though, right? Oh, and I'm getting like a real, yeah, it's not letting me copy it there. All right, so let's put it somewhere else. I'm going to go back here, and for as simple as that would seem, like I should just be able to copy the file, or I'm not really sure why it's blocking me. It must have the C drive locked down somehow from that interface. I'm going to find some other location here that I think that I can easily navigate to. So maybe on the root of the C drive, I'll just make a new folder and call it temp-db. So just temporary for database. Okay? And then I'm going to copy that AdventureWorks file here. Okay? I'm going to come back to this interface, and I'm actually going to click cancel, and then I'm going to click add again, so it refreshes the file interface, if you guys are with me. And then I'm going to go ahead and proceed to that folder I just created. It should pop up here. And there it is. Then I'll find my AdventureWorks backup file. And I'm trying to keep all these screens here so you can see them, right? And now that I have that file selected, I'm going to go ahead and choose OK. I assume you guys are all OK with this process. Then I'm back to this screen. You can see my file is here. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And then we have a screen that looks a little bit, at least, like the install screen that we're working with. So I'm expanding it so you can see that it isn't indeed the same situation. All right? I'm then going to click OK. And then what it's doing is it's pulling all the stuff out of the backup file and dropping it into the database. And notice, database AdventureWorks 2016 restored successfully. Okay? Clicked OK. And now I'm going to come back over here, and now you'll notice that in my database product, and you'll see that he has the same thing here, you now have a new database under your database object explorer called AdventureWorks. And yay, we've done it. All right. Before we leave for the night, and we are literally 1 minute left in class, right? We're going to make sure that there's some stuff inside here. So I'm going to actually click the little expander box next to the database. And you can see there's diagrams, tables, views, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The thing I'm most concerned about right now is the tables, because that's where the data is stored. We're going to learn about this, so don't worry about memorizing any of it. But I'm just going to click on tables, and you can see all of these tables are pre-built in the database. I'm just going to randomly click on one and expand it, and it'll show you all the information that's inside there in an object format. And I know that you guys don't know what maybe some of these things mean at this point, but I can see that there's some key fields and there's some other stuff. So it looks like it's all, the data's all there and everything's okay. All right, folks, if you've completed these steps, we've completed the first assignment. You just need to screenshot some key stuff and show me that you did it. And that's your first assignment. There's one more assignment in this unit. In fact, I'll pop back over to the unit folder here real quick. And then I want you to know that there is a second assignment that's really very, very easy to do. There's that walks you through it. But basically what you're going to end up doing is you're going to be pulling the properties off the database, exploring a little bit, and then hopefully making a connection between some of the terminology that you're going to be reading about and the stuff that you're seeing in the database. Here's another clue here. The due date for this assignment is 2 days after our next class for both assignments. So there's not like an extreme pressure here. So we clearly didn't get a chance to lecture on the first chapter today, so next time when we come back, our tools are in place. We're going to start diving into material, and we're going to press forward quickly. I will be releasing Unit 2 probably within the next few days. now that I have a clearer picture of where we're at. But this hurdle is crossed, and now we start to really learn. Cool? All right. Thank you very much. See you guys next time.
No class next week, right?